Okay, whenever we're ready.
All right. Now, welcome. I'd like to thank you guys for coming over. Just a little bit of background. Why are we talking about this Aspen Eveloution? In 93 Sierra, if you recall, we had an attitude indicator and then an HSI, horizontal situation indicator, which basically is the DG with a VOR CDI superimposed over it. That VOR CDI HSI basically quit working. It was a jury rig system anyway, where you had to set the heading on another indicator. That quit working. We sent it in, got it rebuilt, brought it back. It still didn't work. And so I worked with Jim Iyer and a couple other people. We did some research and we looked at putting in this Aspen Eveloution in there to replace it. Believe it or not, this Aspen Eveloution was about the same cost material-wise as buying a remanufactured HSI. So that's why we decided to go with this. So if you look at it, and I think everybody's got a picture, basically all the Aspen Eveloution is a combination of the attitude indicator on the top and the HSI on the bottom. And if that's all you want to use, that's all you need to go. That's as far as we need to go. We'll go out a little bit later and look at it in the airplane. It's set right in the middle. But we left the traditional instruments on both sides. So you've got the airspeed indicator on the left, you've got the altimeter, and the VSI on the right. So you can fly it just like you did before using the attitude indicator and the HSI. So we'll talk about that a little bit. To begin with, to fire this up, since this is electronic and not vacuum driven, there is another switch now in the airplane. If you look on the right or on the left, if you remember, there was the avionics master about halfway up. That's still there. Right above it is another switch, the same thing, that says now Aspen PDF 1000 master. So, get in the airplane, you fire it up, engine starts just like it always has been. Once you get that start, you go avionics master on, and then right above it, Aspen master on. That will fire this up. It will go through a bunch of self-diagnostics. The screen will show several things on there. That's really all you have to do to get it up and going. Mark?
I noticed there's a power switch upper right, reversion and power. That's been bypassed then with that switch?
It's still there, but it's on all the time, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can turn it off there, but you don't need to. Yeah. Just use the master switch.
So you can look there. If it doesn't light up, then go to that and maybe push that too.
That's correct. Okay. So if you look at what we've got here, the upper half is the attitude indicator. Lower half is the HSI. Talk a little bit about the upper half for just a minute. Once we've got it fired up, if you look on it, you've got the traditional attitude indicator. If you'll notice on the left, there's what they call the airspeed tape. You don't need to do anything with that. It's plumbed in, but it's plumbed in parallel with the old analog ASI airspeed indicator. So you can use the one outside or you can use this one. I flew the airplane for about 1 hour. I found it real easy to go to that tape and check your airspeed. So that's on the left. On the right then is our altitude. And again, we still got the analog altimeter and VSI, but there's the tape on the right is the altimeter tape. So you can use that, or again, go to the analog. So those things are going to be just like the airplane was. A couple other things on as far as that attitude indicator goes. In the lower right box, you'll see 29.92. That's where we set the altimeter. And I'll go through that in just a minute. But that's set based on what we get here for the AWAS, or you can actually set the altimeter, the altitude, like we were used to doing. We'll set that, and then you're ready to go. Other information that's on that, on the upper half, up in the upper left-hand corner, and you don't need to use it, all it is just a reminder, there's an airspeed bug. So if you wanted to set that for cruise or for VX or VY, you can do that, and we'll go through how to set that in a little bit. But it doesn't do anything as far as controlling the airplane. It's just a piece of information for you that you can set if you want it. On the right side, upper corner, is the altitude bug. Same thing. Doesn't do anything other than you can set that. I can see that's real handy if we're going to fly particular IFR and we're given an altitude to maintain. You can put that in there instead of trying to remember all that. Oh, I'm going to fly at 8,000 or whatever. You can dial that in there and have it right there. So that's really nice. But again, it's only an indication. It doesn't control the airplane.
Does it give you an alarm?
It will give you an advance. The alarm is not very loud, but it'll start flashing also. And I think it, depending on your rate of climb, it's something like 200 to 400 feet before you get to there, it'll start flashing, and I think it flashes yellow. Again, I haven't flown it much, but as I recall it, it flashes yellow. So it will remind you when you're getting close to the altitude.
No, I just got
A couple more things on the upper half, a little bit more advanced. It has the glide slope and the CDI for the localizer or the GPS. If you look on the bottom of the top half, you'll see it says ILS horizontal deviation indicator down there, so it will show you basically like the needle. And on the right side then is the glide slope. So if you're flying an ILS into somewhere or flying an LPV approach GPS, you've got those indications there now instead of having the separate CDI like we had before or down on the HSI.
Gordon, are there any more of those? I don't want to take yours.
I've been looking at it, so I'll get it back from you.
You can pull it up.
We'll share it around. The website that is on, I put up there at least part of it. So you can go to that website. It's also in the email that Jim sent to us.
And it's on the club webpage too, and under the fleet.
So it's just a two-page indication of what this one looks like. So that basically is the attitude indicator on the top. Anybody have any questions? We talked about how to set that stuff, but any questions on what we're looking at on that top?
Just one question. You said when you turn it on, it boots up and does a self-diagnostic. Can you still fly the plane if it fails?
You'd be basically partial panel. That would probably be black if it failed, but you still have the
You
analog
still have your other stuff.
airspeed indicator, altimeter, and VSI. You wouldn't have, like you did if the vacuum pump failed, you wouldn't have heading indicator or attitude indicator, but you could still fly it. Yeah, it's not going to hurt.
You can come back.
Yep.
Still going over this stuff?
Yes, yes.
So I think I saw on this little yellow thing, you kind of box it in when you're doing the ILS approach. Is that right?
If it's connected to flight director or autopilot, and we're working on getting it connected, yes.
Okay.
Normally you're not going to see, usually with a flight director you've got that little upside down V, and then you'll have another one that's where you should be, and so you just line them up together.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to be working yet or not. We've got the autopilot sent in to get it, so it will work. But,
Okay.
that'll be something later we'll have to explore.
Okay.
Okay? We still have the turn and bank indicator in the airplane, which is the ball. Step on the ball if you're sliding. But if you look at the top, right underneath that triangle, there's a little, what do you want to call it? A little marker. That marker will act as the ball. And so if it slides to the right, step on the right rudder. Slides to the left, step on the left rudder. So all that does is just showing you turn and bank. And it'll just show you whether you're slipping or skidding. But again, we still have the old analog one in the aircraft, so you don't need to rely on it.
And then is the airspeed, is that connected to the pitot stack?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's not just electronic?
No, it's actually got one line that comes off of the old airspeed indicator to this, so it's very accurate. In fact, it'll pick up airspeed I've flown it 1 hour, picked up the airspeed before the other one started moving. About 25 or 30 knots, you're going to start seeing an indication. Okay, so let's move to the bottom. We'll talk a little bit about that, and then we'll go through some of the controls. So if you look on the bottom, we've got the typical directional gyro or heading indicator. The nice thing about this is we never have to set it with the compass. It's got a flux detector in the tail that Skyline Avionics set it to. So as soon as you get it fired up, part of the diagnostics is going to go through and find itself, and then it will be having, and you'll see on the very top it gives a heading. So you still got the whole compass rose, but on the top, digitally, you'll have what your heading is. It's kind of interesting flying, and if you want to fly a heading of 308, it'll show you you're flying heading 308. It's very, very accurate. Along with that, then you have, as part of the HSI, you've got a heading indicator, just like the needle on the old HSI, where you could turn it and then see how we were doing as compared to a VOR, radial, or whatever. So we can set that using the heading bug. That's the one here, and that's the single arrow. You can see right now it's showing about 360, and it's off to the left.
Oh, you're right, of course.
Yes. And so that's on there. We can adjust, we can tune that to either the VOR or the GPS route, just like we could on the old one. It talks to the Garmin 430, so you can put that in there. It'll show you on there. In addition, we have 2 other needles on there. I don't know, how many of you have flown with the old RMI, the radio magnetic indicator? It was a separate needle, and all it would do is point to the source wherever you put in there. Well, we've got 2 of those now. One of them is the VOR one, the other is 2 lines. You can see the 2-line one is pointing about 200. It doesn't show you off course, it just shows you if you put in 113.3 for the Boise VOR, it will tell you from where you are relative what you have to fly to get to that VOR. Part of the old style ILS or instrument flying. We haven't had any of those in our airplanes, but it's available there.